All right, here we go. Thank you very much for making time for us. Now we are in the second part of our show where we're talking about all things Rhino. As you can see, the vehicle behind me here is looking all beefed up and ready, just like the Rhino. And it's exactly that. It is all set up to be aid in the conservation of the Rhino. And today we're going to be delving into that topic, and we invite you to get us your comments, your views, and suggestions. The event is taking place next week. We'll find out more details about it, and you can talk to us using the hashtag for our breakfast and the SMS number 22422. Lakini kama kawa, the doctor is here with his prescription of a lot of sporting activities. I'm talking about Dr. Banandong.
Indeed, Raburu. Do you think I'm a doctor, really?
Doctor of sports.
I've not yet attained a PhD, so hopefully in the near future that will actually be the status that I have. But nonetheless, indeed, it's a very good morning to you, wherever you're joining us from. As Warabura has rightfully mentioned, this morning we are focusing on off-road motorsport, and we are joined by the Team 37, and we have the driver, one of the members of Team 37. They'll be taking part in the Rhino Charge. This is a team that has participated in the Rhino Charge for about 7 years, and Mr. Anton Kinai will be telling us more about what this team is all about, where their journey started, and why they've been involved with the Rhino Charge. Mr. Anton, thank you so much for joining us on the Power Breakfast Show. Team 37, the Rhino Charge, where did this journey begin?
It's been a long journey, Bernard. It started back in the day with Quattro Charge in like 2004 till now, nine years later actually.
Yeah. So the first time that you took part in the Rhino Charge, what thought process, or what kind of what really prompted you as in exactly to take part in this kind of event?
Well, we used to participate in the Quattro Charge,
yes,
and of course you want to get to the bigger event. So because it was for a good cause, and it seemed like lots of fun because we used to go as spectators. We decided we got the chance to participate. Rhino gave us the chance to participate, and we did.
Okay.
Yeah.
You're individuals who come from diverse backgrounds. How did you guys meet? Who would be the convener of this team?
Okay, the common factor in this team is the driver. His name is John Kanyali. He's a contractor in the coast. So he got us together. Some of the guys here, we work together actually. So that's basically it. We all work together. So we decided to form this team and compete in the Rhino Charge.
Okay. When you participated in your first event, I'm sure it was a baptism of fire.
Yeah, you know, it looks so easy. It looks so much fun. You just, as a spectator, you just see the checkpoints, which is the highlight of the event. But the bush is really the bush. And these organizers, the Rhino Arc, they spent 6 months to prepare for this event. So basically, you go into literal bush and you knock down trees and roll over and break engines and gearboxes. It's a great challenge. It's much harder than it seems.
Okay, we'll take a look at the cars themselves. We can see here, this is a Jeep. You can just tell us more about this particular vehicle. We are saying it has a lot of modifications. What goes into preparing a car for the Rhino Charge?
Well, what you see here is a Jeep Wrangler that we were supposed to use for the Rhino Charge, but when she landed from Europe, we decided she's too pretty. But basically, Rhino Charge is about the suspension, the engine, like strength of the engine to be able to drive the tires, and but it's a lot to do with suspension and grip on the road. Yeah.
Okay. Raburu, I can see on your end you have a different brand of vehicle compared to this one. This one I can actually, I wouldn't mind rolling with this one on the roads of Nairobi.
Yes.
This is a Unimog. Tell us more about this.
Team number 37, as you said hapa hivi, and tuko hapa na driver. Nilikuwa namuuliza kwa sababu hapo ukiangalia na different names here. There's John Kanyali, nikamuuliza kama ni Kanyari ama ni Kanyali. Kuna Joe Kimani hapa, and all these other stickers here. But pengine utueleze jina lako.
Kwa majina mimi naitwa Joe Kimani.
Joe Kimani, nimekuona jina yako hapa. So hizi jina kwanza tuanze hapo, ina signify nini?
Mimi mwanzo huwa ni ndio co-driver hii Team 37, msaidizi wa ile dereva mkubwa wa John Kanyari. Ndio.
John Kanyari ndo the main driver, so ndo co-driver. Na umeparticipate kwa event mara ngapi?
Nimeparticipate kwa event safari 10. Na motivate atu kwanza na hii safari tulianza na hizi zingine ndogo ndogo 4x4 events and deliver challenges, ndio tukaingia kwa event.
So safari 10 nini hasa inafanya urudi uparticipate kila time? Ni thrill, ni ile kutaka kushinda, ama ni kupenda Rhino, unataka kuconserve?
First of all, kuna ile kupenda conserve, na kuna ile moral mtu akona nayo wakati umeanza hii. Unasikia tu kuendelea kila wakati na kuzidi kuongeza maarifa katika uendeshaji wa magari huko.
Kabisa, na hii gari yako tunaona ni different. Sijui sasa huko ndani nani atatuonyesha huko round, but labda wacha nirushie ndong kisha tukirudi utatuonyesha around the car.
Absolutely, of course, Raburu, they're just interacting with one of the members, that is Mr. John here. Just, I understand that there are various roles when it comes to the Rhino Church. Yourself, you are a runner, there's a co-driver, there's a driver. Just tell us who your team comprises of and what are the responsibilities of each member.
Okay, the main guy on the team is the driver. In our team, his name is John. The way the Rhino Charge works is there are 13 guard posts.
Yes.
The night before, they give you 13 GPS locations.
Yes.
And a topographical map.
Yes.
On 1 to 50 scale. So we plot the points on the map and try and decide which is the shortest route. So there's the driver, there's the navigator who's responsible for this route deciding, and then of course we have the runners.
Okay.
One of the runners is responsibilities like mechanics and to make sure the car is okay, and the other runners are to find the route. So we're actually 6 guys on a team.
Okay.
4 runners, 1 navigator, 1 driver.
So yourself, you're a runner. Just tell us exactly. Let's just do like a scenario. Where do you position yourself? Because from what my experience is the fact that I notice you guys always on the fringes, running. You do a lot of groundwork.
Okay, I'm actually the navigator.
Okay.
What the runner does is basically you actually are driving blind. There are no roads.
Okay.
So you can't just drive because you might actually drive off a cliff.
Do they stand ahead? Because I notice that sometimes they actually run ahead.
In terrain where you can't see in front of you, mostly because of trees, they're ahead of the vehicle.
Let's just move here to this Unimog and see. So in a like next week, because the Rhino Charge will be taking place next week.
Yeah.
Where is your ideal position for a runner?
Okay, you can't. It's not. Basically, we have to decide which. Like what happens mostly.
Yes.
The runners stay on the truck.
Yes.
But when the driver reaches a point where he cannot see, mostly because of trees or ravines, they jump off the truck and look for the best route for the truck to use.
Okay.
Because the idea is not to take up too much distance. So you'll find them running ahead, up to even 200-300 meters.
Okay.
And they communicate by shouting at each other because you're not allowed to use walkie-talkies.
Okay.
So they would go ahead of the truck and try and find the best route for the truck to pass.
Okay.
The most areas, the big problem is these ravines. You know these seasonal rivers?
Yes.
They create big gullies.
Yes.
So you can't just go through those because sometimes they're even 10-15 meters deep.
Okay.
So it's to find throughout those gullies which is the best place to pass.
Okay.
Yeah.
Raburu, one prevalent feature as far as the Rhino Charge is concerned is the fact that the drivers themselves, the participants rather, and even the general public who are interested in taking part in the Rhino Charge have actually no idea where the actual event will be. They're just given a general feel of where it might likely be. So I don't know how the drivers prepare for that.
Alright. Pale pia tumeulizwa kwamba kabla utuonyeshe gari ni kwamba you have no idea where the event is going to take place. Does that help in bringing up pumping up the adrenaline?
When you don't know where the events are, you tend to put your car in order such that when you are told where the event is, you only have to engage the gear and move forward. Yeah.
Now speaking about putting your car in order, pengine utashuka tueleze some of the modifications that have been made on the car.
Thank you.
Sawa, tuanze na huku. Kuna nini umefanya hapa special in this car?
Wakati wa kwanza tulipoanza hizi batteries ziko hapa chini. Tukakuta zinaenda kwa zinashikwa na mawe. Tukajua hiyo ni shida kubwa sana kwa sababu tunapata short. Sasa tukajua lazima tuziweke juu. Sasa tukasit pahali ambapo hazitashikwa na mawe au anything. Secondly, the toolbox was somewhere other here.
The toolbox is this one.
This is toolbox. Tukaona hapana, tunasumbuka sana kati gari iko kwa msitu, you can penetrate mpaka utumie toolbox. Tukaiweka juu. Tukizunguka sana tunaona kuna hii suspension.
Yes.
Hii suspension tulikuwa tunaenda hii suspension cold spring as you can see mbele na nyuma. Ilikuwa inaenda ina collapse. So we have to change, tuweke ingine ikakataa. Tukaenda ikakataa. Tukaenda tena tukabadilisha tukaweka ingine mpaka tukawa na hii ambayo sasa collapse.
Okay.
Shock absorber pia you have to buy the actual shock absorbers ambapo hata ukienda wapi haivunjiki. Tulikuwa na hiyo shida sana. Tukimove huku mbele utakuta kuna hii chuma.
Yes.
Hii chuma tuliweka kwa sababu ukiingia kwa msitu residence na hujui pahali miti iko. Sasa ukiingia kwa miti mpaka unachuma stadi ya kusukuma ya miti na hiyo gari penye pata nafasi ya kuingia.
Yes.
Tukaweka hiyo chuma na winch inasaidia gari kupali pandi. Kuna pali za kuta pandi inatumia winch ku winch up.
Okay.
Which of course one of the rules za Rhino charge. Tukizidi sana nakuta exhaust iko juu.
Hii ni exhaust sasa.
Hii ni exhaust.
Iko huko juu, mbona iliweka huko juu na
ikiweka juu kwa sababu yake inakuwa chini. Tukakuta inashikwa na mawe na inashikwa na miti, inangolewa. Ukiingia kwa maji inaingiza maji. So tukaweka yetu juu ndio maji miti hawezi shika.
Yes.
Tukawa sasa iko safe hapo. Pia utakuta hii cage ya nje. Hata ukipita kwa msitu namna gani, hakuna ile njia hii miti itakuja kuvunja hii kioo yetu. Na hakuna hii matawi itavunjwa sababu imezuiwa yote
na hii cage.
Na hiyo cage.
Na kuna vitu mingi sana vimeongezwa, and of course it costs a lot of money.
Yeah.
Is it worth the investment? Nikikuuliza ku make gari ka hivi, wanasema mlijaribu suspension moja ikakataa, mkaenda tena, hiyo yote si ni pesa?
Ni pesa.
So is it an expensive venture or is it for the love of it?
I believe it's for the love of it.
Yes.
Because every time you do something, you have to add more to it to make it much better. So that you don't go back to where you started from. Yes.
All right. So that's just seeing all that goes into making these cars Rhino charge ready. And remember, you can keep talking to us. Our hashtag is still Power Breakfast, and the SMS number is still 22422. Keep talking to us. What are your views, comments, and suggestions about this Rhino charge? And we'll get more details about it as we can. Speak about the details. I want to toss it back over to Banan Dong for the same. Banan.
Absolutely, of course, you've just interacted with one of the members of Team 37. They'll be taking part in the Rhino Charge, the 2016 Rhino Charge. I understand that the registration ends today. Today is the final day to register for the 2016 Rhino Charge. It's yet to be known where it will be taking place. Very interesting scenario, of course. That what makes the intrigue as far as this motorsport event is concerned. We're now joined by Mogul, who is one of the members of the this Rhino Charge team that will be taking part in this year's event. Mogul, where did this passion begin?
This passion began long time because my daddy was senior mechanics.
Yes.
Tukaanza kuuda gari ya mikebe, tukafuata hiyo passion mpaka wareo. Ni kitu iko ndani yetu ambaye haiendi, tunataka kuiachia vijana wengine wale wako nyuma yetu. Shauri tulianza kutoka kwa familia.
Sasa Mogul, wewe sasa position yako kwa hii timu, unakuanga ukifanya nini kwa timu ya Team 37?
Position yangu kwa Team 37 mimi ni captain, nahodha. Na kazi yangu ni kuhakikisha kila kitu iko sawa, gari iko sawa, timu iko sawa. Unahakikisha kila kitu. Nidhamu. Kwanza ndio ile kitu muhimu kwa timu, nidhamu. Shauri
kwa nini nidhamu?
Kwa sababu nidhamu ikiwa kila kitu yote inaingia.
So unasema ni lazima mkuwe na ile teamwork, lazima watakuwa
teamwork, lazima. Kila mtu na hakikisha kila mtu ako na play ile part yake.
Okay.
Kama ni mechanic, kama ni mtu wa kuangalia kila kitu, na hakikisha inafanywa. Tukiwa kwa camp, wacha hata mambo ya gari, unahakikisha kila mtu amegawiwa kazi ile yake anatakiwa, na kuhakikisha imefanywa to the best.
Sasa kwa this year's edition 2016, kama hii gari umejiandaa participate in this year's event, umefanyia nini? Najua preparations zenyu zinaanzanga several months before. Umeifanyia nini hii gari?
Hii tunaanzanga immediately tukimaliza ile Rhino Charge nyingine, tunaanza kuprepare hiyo gari. Unahakikisha miguu iko sawa, engine iko sawa, hakuna puncture, winch inafanya kazi, roll cage iko sawa, wafanyikazi wote wako tip-top condition. Ndio tukiingia kwa uwanja, sio kuanza sijui kurekebisha nini. Gari kila bolt nut imefungwa. Imefungwa kila kitu.
Sasa pia wewe umekuwa part of this team for about more than close to 10 years. Challenges gani umekuwa nayo mkiparticipate kwa Rhino Charge? Nasikia kuna wakati mlikuwa na msiba kidogo. What happened?
Tumepitia shida mingi. Kuna wakati tulikuwa hata kiatu hatuna. Kiatu ni tairi, tunaita kiatu. Tairi hakuna. Steering, kila kitu, gari breakdown ya gari yetu ina kila siku. Lakini sasa tumehifadhi, tunakuwa na minimal breakdowns. na tumehakikisha gari yote iko sawa, timu iko sawa, na tunahakikisha hakuna pahali wakati tunaanza mashindano
during the Rhino Charge.
Several, lakini hazikuwa mbaya sana, lakini zinakuta tumeumia. Kuna mtu ashavujika mkono, kuna wengine wanateguka mguu.
So safety, mambo ya safety, how do you ensure safety is enhanced?
Safety ni kitu ya kwanza, nidhamu kitu ya kwanza, safety hiyo nyingine. Unahakikisha hiyo kuumia hakuna, sababu unaona tumeweka roll cage. Hiyo ni ya kuhakikisha safety ya driver na timu yote vile ilivyo. Umeweka kwa ndani, unaona roll cage iko na roll cage ndani na nje. Ati ukienda na hiyo gari you are sure shauri tunaenda pahali baya, pahali hatari, pahali haijawahi pita miaka yote. Mnatoka tu pale scratch kidogo ile haikosi. Pale kichijio haikosi damu ile kidogo, lakini
niko sure kwa hizo miaka karibu 10 ambayo umekuwa kwa hii timu, umekuwa runner at one point. Umeshaikuwa runner at one point?
Nishakuwa runner.
So kama mtu kama runner, it's interesting that Anton alikuwa ananiambia ati kwamba yeye ndio anakuwa navigator, lakini kwa sababu ya kimo cha mwili yake anasema hizi kimbia kama runner, mtu ambaye anakimbia kwa Rhino Charge akisaidia dereva kujua ni wapi ambapo ataenda. What training do you do? Do you do physical training? Do you do gym work? What do you do?
Kitu ya kwanza nikiwa captain bado mimi ni runner.
Yes.
Na kitu ya kwanza physically lazima uwe physically uko sawa kwa mind.
Yes.
Physical fitness. Ati ukianza kusema ni kuruka pande hii unaruka mara moja. Hakuna kwanza ati kujikokota hiyo hapana. Ile chuma unaona pale nyuma, ile chuma.
Yes.
Lazima one time lazima ukibize gari udadie na uruke juu na mwende mbele. Ukiwa driver ako na shida kidogo, lazima utoke uende mbele ukaangalie kile kitu kiko aba hujui ni nini, kama ni shimo ama nini. Kwa hivyo wewe unakimbia zaidi ya gari.
Unakimbia zaidi ya gari.
Hii kifanya kilomita tuseme 40, wewe umefanya 60 kitu kama hicho hivyo.
Alafu nikiangalia, before we just interact with Anton and tells us more about what this event is all about, aside from the off-road aspect of it, it's also about conservation. In just a moment Anton will be telling us more about the conservation element of it. Naangalia na hapo unavaa glove, naona kidogo kuna hii shati yenye team 37. What special wear do you need to wear when you're going for the Rhino Charge kama runner?
Wakati unaenda kwa Rhino Charge kama runner, lazima uwe na gloves kama hizi nimevaa, lakini sasa mikono miwili. Lazima uwe na safety boots.
Kwa hivyo hizi viatu kama hizi
hii ni hapa tu shauri nimewatembelea, lakini kwa msimu unavaa kiatu chuma.
Kwa hivyo tapia gari yako na viatu zinafaa kuambatana.
Kiatu kisema kiatu ni kuanzia gari mpaka mimi. Chuma si ati unakwenda pale iko miba alafu inakudunga. Ni kiatu hata ukistep kwa nyoka wewe anakuachia.
Umeshaipatana na wanyama labda?
Tunakutana nao dovu wengine wanakatalia kwa njia, mna change route kidogo, ama wakati unakurumisha gari ukipiga race nasikia uko na sauti kushida dovu. Hizi gari ziko na sauti kushida dovu.
Haya, nashukuru sana. Of course that is Mogul, one of the members of team 37, and in just a moment Anton will be joining us to tell us more about the conservation aspect. What is interesting about the Rhino Charge is the fact that it's not about who finishes quickest. The element or the rationale behind the Rhino Charge is the fact that which team can move from one point to the next point in the shortest time possible and in the most difficult way possible. Of course, we now join Mogul here just to tell us more about the conservation element about it, because ideally the Rhino Charge is all about conservation. Anton, the conservation element, it's been close to 3 decades since the Rhino Charge was conceived. We'll be celebrating 27 years this year. So far, the conservation element, has it been achieved?
I would say so. If you remember back in the day, you used to hear farmers fighting with animals. So I think in the late 80s, they formed this trust called Rhino Arc to try and alleviate this problem by putting a fence around the Aberdare system in Mount Kenya. So, and there were rhinos there as well. So you'd find that, so to conserve the rhinos and the ecosystem, they decided to build this fence, and that's what Rhino Charge is. It raises money to build a fence around important ecosystems.
Okay.
Yeah, and so far I think they finished the Aberdare one, and there's one now being built in Mount Eburu, which is I think in the Mau range. and that's what they're working on now.
Okay.
So and not only do they build the fence, they maintain it, and also do surveillance in the ecosystem to ensure that the farmers stay out of the animals stay out of the farmers' business and vice versa.
Okay, just for people to understand, how does the Rhino Charge itself, the off-road motorsport event coincide with the conservation itself? Exactly, what is the link?
Okay, so basically
like you participating in the Rhino Charge, how do you support conservation?
The Rhino Charge is a fundraising event.
Yes.
So for us to participate, we actually have to raise funds. So there's a minimum amount of funds you have to raise, and so there's 61 cars. And last year, the event I think raised over 100 million shillings.
Yes.
Towards the conservation of these ecosystems.
Okay.
Yeah.
So basically, once you've raised the funds and everything, as a driver, as somebody who's involved in environmental conservation, how do you advise people who are also passionate about conserving the environment in their own respective rights?
First, you could support the teams that are participating in the Rhino Charge. Most of the teams sell raffle tickets and look for donations from well-wishers. So as an individual out there,
yes,
you could support one of these teams by giving your donation to them or to the Rhino Arc Charitable Trust through them.
Yes.
Or you could directly give it to the Rhino Arc Charitable Trust.
Okay.
And this would go a long way in conserving these ecosystems.
Okay.
Yeah.
Finally, your colleague touched about safety. How do you ensure safety during this year's event? Because one of the key things is the fact that you're going into areas, harsh terrain, you don't know where you're going. Safety, how do you ensure that is enhanced?
There's a stringent scrutineering that happens before the Rhino Charge to ensure that your car is up to point, that you have the roll cages, the safety belts and all that. On top of that, the organizers go a long way in ensuring safety. They have there's a system we use actually. It's rather interesting, and it's the same system since back in the day. They give you 3 flags, like big 2-meter by 2-meter flags. If your car is broken, you use this flag. If someone is injured, they use another flag, and the third flag is if someone is dying. So if you put up these flags, they have surveillance helicopters in the event.
Of course, there's a lot of health support as well.
So they come in with choppers, and there's a doctor there, a very interesting doctor. We should meet when you come to the Rhino Charge.
I would not want to meet a doctor.
He has good story.
Perhaps maybe to interact with them on a different platform, because I don't want to be meeting them because I'm unwell or anything. 2016 edition, there's somebody tells me, a little bird has told me that the 2016 edition could be in Narok.
It is. Yes, it is. Check-in is in Narok. So it's at least we know 2 hours within Narok. And this Narok is home ground.
Yes.
So now we hope to have home advantage this year. We expect wet conditions, and we should have lots of fun. Guys should come through.
Okay.
Yeah.
Thank you very much. Of course, that is Anton Kinai, one of the team members of Team 37. Thank you so much for joining us on the Power Breakfast Show.
Thank you.
I don't know if perhaps this guy, you can just leave it behind the Raburu. I would hope for them to just leave this one behind. We'll take care of it. We'll take care of it. Interestingly, Raburu, the first edition in 1989, the car that won the first edition of the Rhino Charge was actually a Jeep, a Suzuki Jeep. So maybe, perhaps,
this could be, we could be looking at the winner.
It will be the lucky charm.
Inshallah.
Well, from us, thank you so much for joining us this morning on the Power Breakfast Show. Of course, we'll be interacting with you later on in the day. I'll be seeing you at 1:30 p.m. on the Monday Football Show. I'll see you then.
Alright, and of course, just some of the comments, people are loving the cars here. Bisiri Mary saying when she was young, she thought that Rhino ni kibriti. Lakini sasa amejua vile ni mzuri. Of course, that's just one of the comments. So many of them, because of time, we can't sample them all. But somebody was asking, the Ngosi was asking, anataka kuona zikinguruma, and that time is now. And that's how we wind up the show, even as we see and hear the sights and sounds of what you can expect in the Rhino Charge. My name is Willis Saburu, reminding you, as always, that successful people look like you, and like you said over the weekend, like Manchester United. Have a wonderful day.